Good morning. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. Yesterday, I asked the following question. Given that in Jewish law, there are several ways to transfer ownership of something, through a gift, through a loan, through a purchase, through an inheritance, why is it that in our Torah portion, the Parsha Va'era, that God expresses that the transfer of the land of Israel to the Jewish people will take place specifically as an inheritance? At the beginning of our Torah portion, God says to Moshe, Emar livnei Yisrael, say to the children of Israel, Ani Hashem, I am God. Votzeisi eschem mitachas sivlos Mitzrayim, I will take you out of the suffering and persecution of Egypt. Ve'evesi eschem al haaretz, and I will bring you to the land of Israel. V'nasati osa lachem morasha ani Hashem, and I will give it to you as an inheritance, because I am the Lord your God. So yesterday I shared two approaches to this question, and today I want to share one more, and this comes from Rabbi Aharon Lichtenstein of blessed memory, and it is an approach that is particularly relevant to us. After the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash, the first temple, at the hands of the Babylonians, and much of the Jewish people, they were exiled to Bavel, to Babylonia. That was during the time that the prophet Yechezkel, Ezekiel, was prophesying and writing. And the Navi Yechezkel describes a dispute between the Jews still living in Jerusalem, there were a few, and they were disputing the Jews living in the diaspora. And he records the conversation as follows. The Jews who were living in Jerusalem still addressed the Jews living outside of Israel, in exile, in Golus, in the diaspora, and they said, you distance yourselves from God. It is to us that this land is given as a heritage. So that's the claim of the Jews in Jerusalem, in Israel, at that time, as expressed by the Navi Yechezkel, that we're the ones who are here, you're gone. You're distant from God. We're here, we're close. Certainly that is a valid claim from a legal perspective, from a political perspective. But the prophet, of course, is speaking from a spiritual perspective. And so, therefore, God says to the prophet, Yechezkel, this is what God says. Although I have cast them far off among the nations, and have scattered them among the countries, I shall gather you up from all the nations. In other words, the land of Israel is given to the Jewish people, Am Yisrael, the entire Jewish people that transcends time and place, as an inheritance for the entire nation of Israel. The nation, Am Yisrael, must protect it and pass it on to future generations. The land does not belong, in a spiritual sense, does not belong to some particular individual or group at some specific time. Rather, it is the possession of the entire nation. Rav Lichtenstein continues, anyone who is living in it represents the entirety of Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, and must preserve the land on behalf of the nation and pass it on to those who come after him. Now, this understanding of what it means, that the land of Israel is an inheritance that we all received, that the collective Am Yisrael received, this shapes how we outside Israel view Israel, the land of Israel, today, here. Certainly, Our goal in life should be aliyah, to move to Israel. That is the place to be. Second best is at least to spend as much time there as we can, whenever we're able to. Certainly, for those living in Israel, privileged to live in Israel, and they extend extraordinary effort and sacrifice to do that, without question, they receive immense reward, to which we, outside of Israel, are not entitled. And with that effort and sacrifice comes the privilege of decision-making, as it should. They earn it, they deserve it, we do not. We can have an opinion, but they deserve the decision-making in Israel. But also, there is for Jews in Israel the responsibility of stewardship on behalf of the entire Jewish people, Am Yisrael, everywhere in the world. And this builds on what I said yesterday, this also means that every one of us, not yet living in Israel, every one of us is also an owner, spiritually, if not legally and politically, just as the Jews leaving Egypt were owners of Israel, having inherited it while they were still in Egypt, as I explained yesterday. And therefore, we should always see ourselves like the Jews in our Parsha while still in Egypt. We should see ourselves, even here in Montreal today, as on a journey leading us to Israel, leading us home. My friends, I want to wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.